Disclaimer: the following video is my opinion. It is okay if you do not agree with my opinion. My opinion is not fact. Please feel free to tell me your opinion in the comments below. Do not let this make you feel angry. If you get angry at this, you're doing it wrong. Anyway, on with the video. Now then, in this video, I'm going to actually talk about Twice Upon a Time itself. Like I said at the beginning, this is mostly my opinion. Don't get into a hissy fit because you think it's the greatest story ever and don't like me talking about it negatively. So, Twice Upon a Time opens with an ominous "previously on Doctor Who", and we get a glimpse of the 1966 story The 10th Planet, starring William Hartnell as the First Doctor. It's notable because it saw the first appearance of the Cybermen, with their design in this later returning for the series 10 finale, and the first ever regeneration from William Hartnell to Patrick Troughton. Instantly, there's a problem. I understand that this short sequence of clips is meant to help illustrate to the casual audience where the First Doctor comes into play in the story. However, it doesn't work. In fact, it does something that the Stephen Moffat era was renowned for. It alienates the casual viewer. No one in the general public is going to have a clue who the First Doctor is, and they won't care. This is supposed to be going out on Christmas Day. Families are going to be gathered around the telly watching whatever tripe comes on. For some, it might be their first time watching Doctor Who. And what are they instantly confronted with? Previously on Doctor Who, black and white clip show, little explanation for anything. That's a viewing figure lost right there. Anyway, after a morph from William Hartnell into David Bradley, and colour, we cut to a recreation of the final moments of the 10th Planet Part 4, where Ben and Polly rescue the First Doctor from the Cyberman spaceship. Ben and Polly were originally played by Michael Craze and Annika Wills. However, for Twice Upon a Time, they were recast, with Jared Garfield playing Ben and Lily Travers playing Polly. As you can see, they're not good recasts. Ben sounds nothing like he did, and Polly looks like Barbie.
What are you talking about?
One thing I do have to congratulate the production team on is the attention to detail. The sets, well, what little we saw of them, look almost exactly like that from the original, as do the costumes. The First Doctor's, while not entirely accurate, does look rather awesome in HD cameras. Doctor Who goes wandering out into the snowy wasteland of the South Pole, his regeneration having begun. However, he's fighting it, as he does not wish to change. Wait, pause. Why is the First Doctor's regeneration energy like the modern Doctor's? It never looked orangey gold in the classic series, only in New Who. Damn it, BBC! On his way back to the TARDIS, the First Doctor bumps into the 12th Doctor, who coincidentally is also fighting off regenerating. The two bicker about TARDIS sizes. Look at the size of it, absolute unit. And not wanting to change until, suddenly, time freezes. For a story littered with terrible, unrendered CGI effects, the snow freezing isn't too bad. However, it does unfortunately expose the Antarctic photo set walls that comprise the background. Then we're introduced to one of my favourite aspects of the story, Mark Gatiss. At first, when we learned that he was going to be in this episode, I rolled my eyes thinking Moffat was just bringing in all his mates for his last story. But Gatiss proved himself to be a welcome addition to this... I'm trying to think of a better word than clusterfuck. The Captain's story is heartfelt and actually quite touching. A World War I soldier trapped in a shell crater with a German officer, both with guns poised at each other. Then, just before his death, he is whisked away and then saved by the doctors, before being pursued across time by creatures wishing to put him back in the crater. But the Captain is no longer ready to die. If only that had been explored more. That's another major problem with this story. There's so much potential. A multi-Doctor regeneration story, and Moffat managed to ruin it.
Am I going mad?
Madness? Well, you're an officer from World War I at the South Pole, being pursued by an alien through frozen time. Madness was never this good.
World War I.
Judging by the uniform, yes.
Yes, but what do you mean,
1.
That could have gone somewhere, but instead we get,
Oh, sorry, spoilers.
there's good stuff here. Such a bloody waste. So, the Doctors have entered the 12th Doctor's TARDIS to... I really don't know. But it doesn't matter, because now it's time for... Sexist First Doctor! In this instalment, everyone's favourite 1960s sexist has something to say about the state of 12's TARDIS.
Recently, the only thing here is being cleaned. In fact, this whole place could do with a good dusting. Obviously, Polly isn't around anymore.
What a guy. Well, see you next time on Sexist First Doctor. If you can't tell, I was being sarcastic. How can you totally mess up a pre-established character? There are no words to describe how idiotic, stupid and unforgivable this is. If you didn't know, the First Doctor was not a sexist. However, Stephen Moffat wanted to show how far we had come as a society, so decided to make him one because he was a 1960s character, which obviously meant he held the ideologies of the 60s. Even though the Doctor is an alien time traveller from a society billions of years beyond human social customs and ideas. In fact, Stephen even said that.
We're the most civilized civilization in the universe. We're billions of years beyond your petty human obsession with gender and its associated stereotypes.
But you still call yourselves Time Lords.
Yeah, shut up.
Yet this was written by the same man who thinks the First Doctor came from the 60s on Earth. It's utterly disgusting. I could go on, but this video would be an hour long if I did, so maybe not. Just know it's wrong, Moffat, and you are an idiot for thinking so. Anyway, a spaceship comes down and picks up the TARDIS, with the spaceship's occupants wanting the captain. The First Doctor goes out to confront them, getting told he's something of a Doctor of War or whatever. But they offer the Doctor a trade for the captain with someone he has lost. Oh no, not Bill too. It's Bill! But is it? I don't care. The 12th Doctor doesn't trust her because he knows Bill was turned into a Cyberman and he thinks she died back on the Mondasian colony ship. What he doesn't know is Bill was saved by Heather and the two of them went out travelling in space and time together. What the script doesn't make very clear is why Bill is here now. As we learn later, the spaceship's owners are called Testimony, a race of glass avatars who take people the second before their deaths, scan and copy all their memories, put them back in their allotted time and place before creating a glass avatar of them with all their memories, effectively making a second version. But Bill didn't die on the colony ship. Heather saved her by turning her into a puddle pilot. The glass Bill remembers being saved, but nothing after. Are we to assume Bill died straight after we see her jump out of the TARDIS at the end of The Doctor Falls? If so, why bother with Heather saving her? Yet another indication that this story was never meant to happen. The two Doctors confront the leader of Testimony. The 12th Doctor puts on the stupid sonic sunglasses again. The First Doctor rightly throws them away. If only he had his walking stick, he could have smashed them. And work out the Testimony woman's face is based on a real person because it's not asymmetrical. There's more dialogue that goes nowhere before we get another big glaring problem. Unnecessary fan service. It's pointless, it serves no purpose, and it's another common problem of the Stephen Moffat era. Again, it's another good idea with the First Doctor learning about his future and being terrified by it, but like this story, it goes nowhere. Also, the effect they put on the clips is really weird. I mean, like, look at Peter Davison. What's up with that? Our intrepid gang of misfits escaped Testimony's ship by swinging down the TARDIS to the South Pole. Wait, how comes the First Doctor is suddenly able to jump and hang on to chains? He's a frail old man, not an action hero. Look at him go! Careful, a fall like that'll kill you, Doctor. Unless you're David Tennant, of course. They rush into the First Doctor's TARDIS, which, like the First Doctor, looks really nice in HD. Except the walls are wrong. Once they're in flight, we get another instalment of Sexist First Doctor. What's the old codger up to now?
Well, really, doesn't she?
Yeah. If you like, ladies made of glass.
Well, aren't all ladies made of glass in a way?
Oh, Doctor. We're off to the weapon forges of Villengard. This is a reference to Stephen Moffat's first Doctor Who story, The Empty Child / The Doctor Dances.
Nice switch.
It's from the groves of Villengard. Thought it was appropriate.
There's really a banana grove in the heart of Villengard, and you did that.
Bananas are good.
But this doesn't look very much like a banana grove to me. Doesn't look like it's ever been one. So, the reference is pointless. Stephen's really on a roll here. The 12th Doctor goes off to find the biggest database in the galaxy to find out who the Testimony woman was. He dismisses going to Gallifrey, probably not wanting to address Hellbent either. But before he can go, the First Doctor has got something to say to Bill.
If I hear any more language like that from you, young lady, you're in for a jolly good smack bottom.
I don't think I'm going to get another chance to talk about it, so I might as well talk about it now. I mentioned in my first video how David Bradley played William Hartnell in Adventure in Space and Time and not the First Doctor. Yeah, David Bradley isn't great. I mean, he's clearly trying, but it's less of an interpretation or an impression. It's more, he's just pretending to be the First Doctor. If you want someone to go more into this, check out these videos by Dimmeh. She does a better job of voicing my complaints than I do. Links will be in the description. So turns out the database the 12th Doctor was looking for was Rusty. You know, Rusty. That Dalek that was in that one episode over 3 years ago. Everyone remembers him, right? Apparently Rusty was brought back as a conclusion for the Good Man arc that was started and seemingly dropped after Series 9. Possibly even Series 8. Yeah, this was defo written when Moffat was drunk. Back downstairs, the First Doctor, having now run out of sexist remarks, has a conversation with Bill.
I left Gallifrey to answer a question of my own. By any analysis, evil should always win. Good is not a practical survival strategy. It requires loyalty, self-sacrifice, and love. So why does good prevail? What keeps the balance between good and evil in this appalling universe? Is there some kind of logic? Some mysterious force?
Ugh, really? More backstory for why the Doctor ran away from Gallifrey? No, it wasn't enough with the hybrid, was it? Now you're telling me he ran away to find out why good always wins against evil? Why couldn't he have just been bored like the second Doctor said in the War Games? It made so much more sense for the character. Say what you will about the 13th Doctor's morals, at least her purpose is true to the history of the show, about being a traveller who passes through and helps where she can. Time for the big reveal now, as Rusty gives the 12th Doctor the information he needs about testimony.
Through our glass avatars, they can walk among us again. This is heaven on new earth.
Well, it's not an evil plan. I don't really know what to do when it isn't an evil plan.
Yeah, neither does Moffat. Suddenly, the entire narrative of the episode grinds to a halt, with it all, say it with me now, having gone nowhere. We're 40 minutes in, with about 20 left, and the plot just stops. Oh yes, also, Bill is a testimony agent who just wanted information on the Doctors so testimony could understand them. Wait, I thought they already knew about the Doctor. And even if they didn't, why didn't they just access Bill's memories? And even if they couldn't, Why was Bill acting all normal and sweet instead of just saying what testimony we're up to in the first place? God, this thing is awful. Whatever, let's get through this ASAP now. I'm getting sick of talking about it. The doctors fly off in their TARDISes to return the captain back to World War I, where he was meant to die. Suddenly, the first Doctor knows how to fly his ship correctly after not knowing how during his entire era. You know, Stephen, that main plot point in Ian and Barbara's story. They arrive on the frozen battlefield with testimony, and the captain gives his name to the first Doctor so he can check in on his family.
My family. Perhaps you could look in on them from time to time.
We should be delighted. What's the name?
Lethbridge Stewart. Captain Archibald Hamish Lethbridge Stewart.
I shall make it my business.
You can trust him on that.
Thank you so much.
It appears Stephen Moffat has some kind of fetish for the Brigadier. First it was confirming he had passed away in A Good Man Goes to War, then it was his daughter Kate Stewart, then it was turning his corpse into a Cyberman in Death in Heaven, and now this. Also, the reference makes no sense. The Brigadier was someone the second Doctor met during the Web of Fear, and then again in The Invasion, before becoming a regular during the John Pertwee era, and popping up again once or twice throughout the rest of Classic Who. The Doctor never went out of his way to meet him. He just did, and they became good friends. Not everything in Doctor Who has to have your mark on it, Stephen. You've tainted it enough. Turns out the 12th Doctor did another thing that makes absolutely no sense by moving time so the captain wouldn't be shot. Instead, the Christmas truce happens just in time and he survives. I really don't care at this point. The first Doctor decides he now wants to regenerate and buggers off to his TARDIS where he gets a new last line.
Well then, here we go. The long way round.
Moffat strikes again. How is this the same man who wrote The Doctor Falls? How is this the same man who wrote World Enough and Time? How is this the same man who wrote Heaven Sent? How is this the same man who wrote Blink, or The Empty Child, or The Girl in the Fireplace, or The 11th Hour, or The Doctor Dances, or any of his other greats, to go from such grace and beauty to this? Bill returns to give the 12th Doctor his final goodbye present.
Merry Christmas, Doctor.
Clara.
I think I'll just let StuBagFul take this one.
Say, does anyone remember the rather limp sacrifice of Hellbent where he brought Clara back from the dead? She's alive again, but the Doctor doesn't remember her. Well, even that's gone now. So now there's even fewer consequences for using time travel to stop someone from dying than there was before. So now, Hellbent's retrospectively even shitter than it already was. Fucking how? I didn't even think that was possible.
Yet the Almighty be praised as one last vestige of greatness appears in the form of Nardole, reuniting with the 12th Doctor for one last bit of banter before one of the best ever TARDIS teams have a cuddle before separating for the very last time.
Time to leave the battlefield.
Yes! The 12th Doctor leaves World War I, where the TARDIS convinces him to regenerate. By making some noises and flushing a bit. Okay. But before he can go, the 12th Doctor makes one of his famous speeches, this time to his next incarnation. Like a lot of his speeches, it feels forced and unnecessary. Hey, I just described this episode in 3 words. Finally, at long bloody last, the 12th Doctor regenerates in a special effect so poor and so bad it makes me laugh every time I see it. Look at it, why is it all electrical? It's so strange and hasn't been rendered properly. It looks like something out of MS Paint. Oh, and of course it blows up the TARDIS because they all do, even the Sneak's regeneration. As much as I would like to talk about the 13th Doctor's first scene, trust me, it's possibly the only properly good thing in this entire episode. I'm only here to discuss Stephen Moffat's involvement in the story. Just know, however, that I love it. In the words of the 13th Doctor...
Oh, brilliant.
Well, that finishes up my review section of this series. In the next part, I shall be giving my overall thoughts and my long-awaited conclusion. See you then.